This episode is brought to you by firstclassdreams.com. Go check it out. Welcome back to another episode of the Transaction Care Podcast. I am your host and resident care coordinator, Lillian Hernandez, aka Lily like the flower, because we are learning and growing together. And in today's episode, we are diving into a topic that I know many of us may have faced at some point in our careers, and that is imposter syndrome. Yes, it's that nagging self-doubt, that feeling of being a fraud or thinking you don't deserve your accomplishments. If you've experienced this, well, you're not alone, because I'm definitely currently going through this right now, which is why I want to discuss this topic with you all. And believe it or not, even successful people often grapple with it. Think Beyonce, I'm always thinking about Beyonce because she's my favorite. But you can imagine people at her level or whatever level you are in your career, we all experience that self-doubt, that feeling of, am I qualified enough? Am I ready for this? And I am here to say that it's natural. We all experience it. But how can we explore some ways that imposter syndrome, we can decrease that feeling and not allow that to be our default setting? Of course, we're human. We're going to experience imperfections, doubt, all of that. But it does impact your career, and I want to provide some strategies to build that self-trust to conquer that self-doubt. Are you ready? Let's get into it. So let me share my personal journey that I'm currently going through right now that is related to imposter syndrome and self-doubt, as well as my journey towards more self-trust. So early on in my career as a transaction coordinator, running my own business, being self-employed, that was all very brand new for me. But there was something about my eagerness to do it, to embrace it, that I didn't really feel much doubt. And I think that was because I went from doing the same exact job, the same exact work as a 9-to-5, but now I'm doing it on my own, working from home, being location independent, all of that. So the transition wasn't as dramatic or scary as one may think. I can imagine if maybe I have had no experience as a transaction coordinator, that I'm jumping into this, going from a 9-to-5 to now being completely self-employed, not having any experience in this field alone. I can definitely see where the imposter syndrome would lay in that situation. But for me, the first couple of years, I was just so eager to make this work. I didn't really take the time to stop and breathe and enjoy the process. Everything was very much 0 or 100, nothing in between, which definitely caused me to burn out, unfortunately. And I had to stop. And at that point, that's when I started to just reevaluate. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? I didn't really have a solid why other than to be close to family, because at the time I was helping to take care of my grandma and the household as well. And I just wanted to be present in that moment. And then a year into being self-employed, again, we're getting a little personal, but a year into being self-employed and being one of the primary caretakers of my grandmother, she eventually did pass away, and I do consider it a blessing to have been with her the last year of her life every day. But she was my big why. So when that was removed and I now had to stand on my own 2 feet, and now I'm experiencing burnout, I'm not happy with the money I'm making. And believe me, at the first year of my business, being self-employed, I made the most money I've ever made in my life. And that is subjective. Everyone has a definition of a lot of money. But when I was seeing 5 figures in my bank account on a monthly basis, just know that it was all brand new to me. So, but then the person that I was being driven by or inspired by or motivated by leaves my life. I feel like, oh man, there has to be more to this than just pushing papers all day. Now, don't get me wrong. I respect the work. I respect being able to do this, especially going from working a 9 to 5 for almost half of my life to now being on my own and it's successful. I didn't want to lose what I had, but what I had was really tearing me down. Like I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't going anywhere, if that makes sense. So I basically spent the next year just kind of doing the same things I was doing, but I wasn't taking on any more new business. And it wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago I really started to explore that. What's next? What comes after this? There's a reason I'm put in this position, and I feel it in my gut. I know it's there, but how do I open that? How do I get there? How do I open that door, right? And of course, every time I would try something new, it'd be exciting, but then when it wouldn't make money or I'd get nervous about something, I would just tuck it away and go back to the thing that was safe, which was and is transaction coordination, right? So I had to really do some work. And if you've been listening to this podcast, thank you, first of all, for your support. Then you've heard me tell some of these stories a couple times. And if you've been following my YouTube as well, you definitely have heard, my story. But ultimately, the last couple of years have been truly an exercise in trusting myself. And that being such a foreign feeling and experience, when I was in it, I would run away. Or my self-saboteur would avoid. I wouldn't commit to that feeling. I'd get a little bit past the starting line and then revert back to my old ways, my old habits. And I'm telling you, it takes a lot of work to build that self-trust. I won't ever give it a timeline because everyone's different, but I definitely will say it isn't something you can just work on for a week and then you're healed. It's something that you definitely have to continuously work on. And I accept that. They always say acceptance is the first step to healing and, having that awareness. And now it's time for me to be accountable, right? And again, referencing what is new, what is next. I don't feel fulfilled. And I feel like I have all of this knowledge, this experience, and I want to share it with the world. I want to save people's lives, but I knew I couldn't physically save people's lives. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I don't have a college degree outside of my associate's degree. So I don't have the bachelor's or the master's to get into being a therapist or a psychiatrist. And who knows, maybe one day. But in this moment, I just felt like all of the work I had put into myself, all of the self-doubt, all of the impulsive decisions I made unknowingly have led to this moment in time today. And I know that deep down, I wanted to give someone else that feeling, that experience of self-love, confidence, self-trust. And again, this is a continuous path that I am on. This isn't just, I'm confident today, I'm going to be confident forever. No, as many of you may or may not know, I have become a certified life coach, and this is the first time in my life, and I'm approaching 40, so you can understand the math, that I've chosen a career path that I know is fully aligned with who I am, why I'm here, and where I need to go. Do I know where this path is going to lead me, or who it's going to lead me to, or who it's going to impact? No, not 100%. I mean, I definitely have my client avatars. I have my, all of those things that you have to do to run a business. But on the internal side, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know where this is taking me. I'm just learning to fully trust myself in this moment and God, 100% trusting God first, right? And I think that trust in God also, spills into that self-trust. So as I'm embarking in this coaching journey, it's the thoughts of, are you qualified enough? Do you have enough education? Are you ready to charge people for your services? What if you never get clients? Is it still worth it? Did you still do a job well done? Is it still successful? And all of those questions are just rush to the top of my brain constantly. And I notice, especially when I'm sitting at home alone, those thoughts are more prominent. And it's when I'm not working on myself or not working on something, or if I'm not spending time with people I love that, lift me up and fill my cup, or it's when I'm not filling my own cup that those doubts truly creep in. And again, like I said, I'm definitely experiencing this currently, but it's something I'm actively working on. So let's get into the definition of imposter syndrome before we truly move on and with this episode and this topic, because it's definitely a topic that is ongoing. It's something we all experience, but how are we integrating it into our life so it doesn't overpower our decisions or impact our careers, right? So what is imposter syndrome? It's that feeling of inadequacy or self-doubt even when you've achieved great things. It's crucial to know that imposter syndrome is not unique. It's a common experience. So what are the signs of imposter syndrome? It often manifests as a fear of being exposed, doubting your own skills, and attributing your success to luck or external factors. And if these sound familiar, if these feelings sound familiar, you might be dealing with imposter syndrome currently. And I know this is just an audio experience, but I am currently raising my hand because even after reading that definition, I can definitely say I do experience that. I have experienced that, but I also understand that there are opportunities on the other side of that doubt, of the other side of those failures or those negative thoughts, right? But what impact can it have on you when you are experiencing imposter syndrome? So it can definitely take a toll on your career and your personal life. It can lead to missed opportunities, anxiety, and even a lack of self-confidence. So the self-doubt that it generates can either hinder your progress or hold you back from pursuing goals. So let's take a breather right now. I know I've kind of given you guys a lot of information on the topic of imposter syndrome, as well as my own experiences with it. But let's take a pause and let's revisit this line of the self-doubt that it generates can hinder your progress and hold you back from pursuing your goals. That is huge. That is major, because I know there are many of us out there that are hesitant, that are wanting to do something different or wanting to get out of a certain situation or wanting to enter into a new situation. But there's something or someone, a voice, an experience, some trauma that is just holding them back. So when you think about your goals, how do you recognize that you're experiencing imposter syndrome? Ask yourself that. And if you're not sure, if you don't know if you're experiencing it or not, let me just say that it could be during moments of maybe self-criticism, those moments when you're calling yourself names or talking down to yourself, or repeating an incident that maybe happened before where you failed and you don't think that you can be successful at it today. Or maybe you don't feel like you're qualified for a new job or a certain job, or you're constantly fearing being found out as a fraud. Like, say you get the job and then you're there and you're like, oh crap, I'm in over my head. I shouldn't have applied to this job. They're going to find out, then I'm going to get fired. And then you start to spiral. Believe me, I've been there. Before I even recording this podcast talking about imposter syndrome, I was like, am I even the right person to be talking about this? Shouldn't maybe therapist or psychologist, a doctor be talking about this. But then I said, no, write your notes, create an outline, script it out so you could feel more comfortable, more confident, and just talk about it. Because it's a human experience. I could have all of the books, I can have all of the tools, the resources, but if I'm not taking action to overcome this or recognize it or accept it and create new narratives for myself, then I'm constantly going to be stuck. And I wouldn't have ever put out this episode because I don't know who needs this episode. This topic is familiar to me, but this could be for someone out there that has never heard about imposter syndrome, or maybe just never had the words to articulate what they were feeling. And that's why I'm creating this episode. So whoever out there is relating to this topic, again, you are not alone. And if there's any other ways I could support you, feel free to reach out, of course, always. But recognizing the imposter syndrome is definitely just essential to that healing, that overcoming, that moving forward in that self-doubt and not living in it. I always say I want to live in my prayers. I want to live in that ultimate dream life that I envision for myself. Will it be perfect? Will it be on my timeline? No. But do I believe it's going to happen? Absolutely. But it's also going to come with some baggage. It's going to come with that I'm not capable, I'm not ready, I need more education, I need to read more books, I need to consult with more people. When it's like, I just heard a podcast where they were like talking about it, saying you're going to do it, tweeting about it is not doing the thing. Tweeting about the thing, telling people you're going to do the thing is not doing the actual thing. And sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and experience that pain and realize that, oh, this pain actually isn't so scary after all. Sometimes we just need to let our wounds breathe so they can heal properly. And we can eventually just move on with that experience. But of course, I know there are levels to this self-doubt, this negative talk, this experience. And of course, if you need help beyond, this podcast, I am a coach. I can help you through that to achieve your goals. But also I do suggest that you reach out to either a professional, like a therapist, a psychiatrist, someone that can definitely counsel you through maybe what you're feeling goes deeper beyond just setting a goal and accomplishing it. Traumas, again, like I said, situations, reoccurring feelings and emotions that feel beyond you are sometimes bigger than you, and it's important to seek the proper help that is out there. So I definitely can, advocate for you reaching out to receive the help that you do need. But until then, I would like to offer some just practical strategies to, how we can overcome imposter syndrome today, moving forward in the future. And these have worked for me. Give it a try, or maybe you can seek your own. But these, again, are just practical strategies that you can start with and then building from there. Right off the bat, positive self-talk. I love affirmations. One of my main love language is words of affirmation. And I love affirming myself. I love affirming others. And that's me. And I do great when I'm journaling. I do great when I'm reading devotionals. I do great when I'm reading books about personal development, biographies, watching videos, and just absorbing all of the great parts of those people's experiences and learning from their negative experiences as well, but knowing that, they overcame it. So I have to replace the I can't with I will. I'll find a way. And also knowing when something just isn't for now. It isn't for me right now. And moving forward and trusting myself that I'm still safe, I'm still covered, and I am still capable. So positive talk is definitely important. It doesn't remove the negative, it doesn't remove the fears, but it definitely overpowers it in those moments of major self-doubt. So give it a try. next up, you definitely want to set achievable goals. So let's just say I want to get 100,000 downloads on this podcast. Now, I have to definitely be specific. Do I mean with this episode? Do I mean in the next 5 years? Do I mean tomorrow? Now, I have a very beautiful, beautiful, small but mighty audience and a group of supporters that truly do listen and ask me questions and reach out and send, they review the podcast. They leave great comments, and I love that. But realistically, if I want to hit 100,000 downloads tomorrow, I'm not saying it can't happen, but if it doesn't happen, I also need to be realistic and know that this is definitely an achievable goal. But at the rate that I'm moving, at the rate that the podcast is getting out, but who knows, virality is real as well. Let's not forget that. But realistically, how often do I want to hit 100,000, right? Do I want to hit it every year, every episode? What are the stats? Let me do some research. Okay, so in the next 5 years, I want to hit 100,000 downloads on my podcast. And a download simply is every time someone presses play, that is considered a download. So at the rate I'm moving, I'm averaging somewhere between, I'd say, 300 and 600 downloads a month. So that's a far reach between 300 and 600 to 100,000 overnight. And let's not forget, okay, well, once I reach that goal, what comes with that after? Am I prepared emotionally, mentally? And of course, some things I'm not going to be ready for, but I can do my best to be as prepared as possible. If I get that much attention going from 600 to 100K overnight, then perhaps I could have a course ready on my website, or I offer coaching services. So I need to make sure that my bio on all of my social media platforms are updated. So when I get that much attention coming to me, I can eventually expand my network, expand my community, and help more people. But if I have nothing else to offer other than this podcast, which is fine, then I might be dropping the ball. So setting achievable goals is definitely a practical way of being more confident. So if I want to get 100,000 downloads in the next 5 years, 2 years, whatever it may be, I have to now create smaller goals to achieve that. Okay, well, let me look at my budget. What is my budget to create ads? Can I get some guests on the show that would draw more attention, diversifying the conversations, diversifying my audiences. There's so many different ways that our goals can be achieved, but they start big and we have to break them up to little chunks in order to see them happen. And again, like Sugar Free said, you got to stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. And that's the motto moving forward. And finally, I would definitely say seeking mentorship is so key, because sometimes you just need that outside perspective, that additional accountability and guidance, or questioning, someone that can keep you aware of why you're doing things. So you aren't just constantly going about things blindly. Like I said, I could be very impulsive. I'm an Aries. I love to just go from 0 to 100. There's no in between. There's no like gradual, let me stay at 60 for a little bit. No, it's 0 or 100. But it's not healthy to live my life in that constant just, fight or flight state of being. My mindset has to experience the slow periods, the fast periods, the in-betweens, the gray areas. That's what my therapist said. I need to focus a little bit more on the gray areas. What is that? What am I avoiding going from 0 to 100? What am I wanting to experience so fast that why can't I experience that maybe at like a 30 mile per hour rate? Why do I constantly have to go so fast and be moving quickly? There's a lot of healing and underlined experiences and situations and issues that are there that I'm not realizing are impacting current and future me. So it's okay to slow down and seek that mentorship or counseling. Like I said, therapy is always an option. Coaching is always an option. Those are just a couple of ways to get your goals and your dreams out and your fears to someone else that is a safe space, a neutral party, someone that is you're hiring or speaking to that wants the best for you and is going to use their tools and their resources that are beyond your capacity to get you there. And this could also be a close friend, a family member, a friend of a family that you trust with your goals. Because believe me, not everyone is worthy of sharing good news with, because you don't know what they're fully going through at their point in their life, or maybe they just have a different view of life, of how it should be. So not everyone is meant to receive your good news or your new ideas. So be wary of that, but also it's a part of life. We're going to have to live and learn. And unfortunately, there are going to be people that will try to bring you down along the way. But when you do seek out mentorship, someone in the same field as you, especially, it can definitely be a key to feeling more confident about your decisions. So think about that when you're wanting to try something new or embark in something completely different from what you're doing now. And I'm going to keep saying this, you are not alone. I got into the coaching business because I wanted to be that person for someone else. And I can't say I'm going to fix you. I won't ever guarantee that that's a part of the deal. It's more so this is a safe space for us to learn and grow together. Whether we work one-on-one or in a group setting, or you're just listening to this podcast and we never speak or talk ever, but you're taking notes and you're taking action, right? So whatever your experience is or wherever you're at in life, you are not alone. And many of us who take this seriously and understand that there is another side to this self-doubt, that this is something I can achieve. I will be great at this job. I will be able to get that raise. I will be able to quit my job and start a business. Wherever you're at in life, many of us have been successful at managing imposter syndrome. Because again, it's not going to go away. Sadly, it's going to come back, but being able to manage it and say, hey, let me get my tools, my imaginary toolbox, and sometimes you got to go beyond the toolbox and get that strong shield and hold it up to that self-doubt and say, no, I am capable. I trust me. I have faith that I'm going to do well. And remember, we evolve, we grow, we outgrow old versions of ourselves and have to embody whoever it is we need to be in order to achieve these career goals, these life goals, whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. Maybe the self-doubt is thinking the old you can fully embrace this new version of you. I've definitely had to, quote unquote, kill off some old versions of myself, some old thinking, some habits, many habits. I had to let go of a lot of friends. Unfortunately, that's just the way it all went down. I lost a lot of friends through this process in the first couple of years of choosing myself and believing in myself and having confidence in myself and not giving off that I need you vibe within those dynamics. And it was in those moments where I felt like, damn, this is sad, but I feel so much more like myself. And I don't want to lose that. And that was a hard reality to face. But again, that all is built in, that it's all a part of building that self-trust. And overcoming imposter syndrome is just one part of the equation. Building self-trust is equally important. It's about believing in your abilities, learning from your experiences, and trusting yourself. Again, I lost a lot, but I gained so much more. I know that's kind of cliche to say, but there's something about trimming that dead weight off of you. And whenever you hear those little or loud voices of, you're not ready, you can't do this, you will be ready to say, yes, I can. And I will. And I did it. And I did it successfully. And now I'm moving on to the next thing that I need to achieve in life. Confidence in your skills and your decisions is a powerful tool in your career. I guarantee it. And it does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of self-awareness. But we are all capable of achieving it and managing it and living out whatever our dream lives are, our dream careers. Sometimes it's going to happen overnight. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But if you are committed to yourself, there's no doubt in my mind that you can't achieve whatever you put your mind, body, and soul to, and give it your all and commit to it. So before we wrap up, I do invite you, listener, supporter, audience members, I appreciate you all. What questions do you have about imposter syndrome and self-trust? I would like to address them either on my social media, or I could do a part 2 to this episode. And I just want to provide you with some more guidance. Or if you want to set up a one-on-one with me, all of my information will be in the description below to schedule a free discovery call with me. But as we conclude, I definitely want to hear your questions and your comments and your experiences with imposter syndrome. How are you navigating it? How are you managing it? Let's talk about it. But as we wrap up, I truly, again, appreciate you all. And I hope you have gained some valuable insights to imposter syndrome and how to build that self-trust. Remember, self-doubt is common, but with the right strategies and mindset, you can conquer it. Start by recognizing when imposter syndrome strikes and employ the techniques we discussed to build self-trust. Your career will thank you for it, and so will you. With that said, this has been another episode of the Transaction Care Podcast. My name is Lillian Hernandez, aka Lily, like the flower, because we are learning and growing together. And if you found this episode helpful, please consider subscribing, telling a friend, and please leave a review. I appreciate it. We have about 5 up there. Yay. I love it. I appreciate you guys. And if you have any more questions or topics you'd like for me to explore, talk about, or people you want to have on the show, feel free to reach out. You can email me at tc@transactioncare.com for podcast questions, imposter syndrome questions, coaching questions, or to reach out to me and schedule an appointment. Either way, tc@transactioncare.com. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Also, it's in the description so I can make it even easier for you all. And I thank you for making it this far in the episode. Remember to stay confident, trust yourself, and of course, pursue your dreams. So until the next episode, I'm giving you the keys. There are no gatekeepers here. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Talk soon. P.S. Go to firstclassdreams.com. See ya.